What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Vintage New Jersey podcast, where we travel back not just through time, but through the very streets that defined an era. I just recently went to Boston, took a little road trip up there, about 6 hours, not too much traffic. And it just, I had to go through Central and North Jersey, and it really got me thinking, these old, cities and towns. They were once literally just thriving with, people and things going on. I mean, there were between, you got amazing food that places in Newark and Jersey City and all that. And just like, I don't know what happened. So it really got me thinking as far as this podcast. I just feel like these cities and towns, they just defined a specific era that we probably will never get back. Yeah, some were steel towns, port towns that powered our state and the nation. You had the forgotten boroughs that were just swallowed under the name of progress, and communities that once thrived. And what happens when these lights go out, so to speak. New Jersey in general is a patchwork of cities and towns stitched together by, whether it's history in general, food, I mean, that's huge, industry, and just the people who once or still do call it home. But what happens when those places fade away, not with a bang, but like with a whisper, when main streets go empty, when the factories go dark, and when the names on the map just seem to kind of disappear overnight. I figured we would start in Newark, which is basically the epicenter of this all happening. In the 1950s and 60s, the city decided it was a great idea to start demolishing, I think it was around 10,000 buildings. Some of them were even historic buildings, across 2,500 acres under the umbrella of urban renewal, which then was a domino effect. It displaced 50,000 residents, mostly Black and Hispanic families, and they traded this off for highways, interstates, universities, and housing that fell short most of the time. And these vibrant city streets became pretty much like rubble overnight. And then the shockwaves of this happening in Newark kind of hit other suburbs like Irvington, where these displaced families came, and then it sparked the white flight, overall abandonment, and just decline. You had the Elizabeth and their ports and highways expansion were, they cleared out older residential blocks near the water, and it turned, historic areas into industrial zones. If we move inland to Trenton, which is the state capital, same time frame, 50s, 60s, the federal urban renewal and highway projects like Route 29, which was John Fitch Way, bulldozed diverse neighborhoods, displacing thousands of families, including major downtown projects, and they traded that for state office buildings and limited access roads. The Coalport area of north of downtown was cleared for industry that never fully came to fruition. And the riverfront communities were pretty much just severed from the Delaware. It felt completely just sudden. Families were just uprooted, without really any notice. Historic Mill Hill was scarred, and the city's Trenton's fabric was just torn from its roots. The state pretty much prioritized its needs over the local roots. If you then travel to the Jersey Shore area, you have Asbury Park. They had these grand hotels and the vibrant boardwalk. Then the 70s and 80s hit, that eroded. You had blight, fire, crime, and that just stalled the redevelopment. You had blocks and blocks that became just urban wastelands. And then you had this revival in the early to mid 2000s that kind of just erased that gritty soul. Atlantic City tells a similar tale. And this was amplified by casinos. In the 60s, the South Inlet neighborhood once was a thriving beachfront area, was pretty much declared blighted in the 80s. There was acres that were cleared again under this urban renewal. It displaced thousands of residents who were promised redevelopment that never fully happened. And then later, the casino rezoning left these vacant, vast lots. And then these old historic hotels like the Traymore and the Marlborough were completely demolished in the 70s and 80s. So just completely erasing the history. Then you go a little bit, I guess, inland. You got Lakewood, which is it was a quiet upscale Pineland resort. It turned into a boom town through rapid Orthodox Jewish community growth. Older bungalows and open spaces gave way to dense housing almost overnight. I mean, within the last 10 years, it's insane. And it wasn't like these classic demolition stories that I told earlier. It was just like a cultural overhaul, leaving some of the town completely unrecognizable. So, you know, New Jersey's landscape is layered with these ghosts, places reshaped, sometimes erased by forces bigger than themselves. So, next time you're in Trenton, Newark, Atlantic City, stop, look around. The ground beneath you tells stories of what was once lost and what could be reclaimed. It's a sad thing that what we do sometimes to our old historic cities, but I have faith. I have faith in our state. I mean, again, you look at Asbury, Jersey City, Hoboken. I mean, they fell on totally bad times, and they almost made a complete 180. I mean, there's still some room to grow, but I mean, it's promising. Some of the things that we can do when we really want to focus and get these places back on their feet. Um, that's all I got. Thanks for listening. If you have stories of your families, being displaced or moving or any of that, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share. Um, Thanks for listening to my daily rants. I'll be back with a new episode soon. Talk to you later.